I have to blog about a friend who passed away this week. Allena MacDonald was only 44. She actually worked for the paper, for the Chronicle Herald, and she was a very talented individual who lived life on the edge. She was a whirlwind, just an amazing person. First time I met her, I was sitting in Mulgrave Town Council, and this person came in, and there was lots of noise, and kind of everybody looked up, and then all of a sudden they realized who it was and kind of went back to what they were doing. And she came in, coffee cup in hand, I believe, from a gas station. It was from the Irving big stop that the coffee cup was, and I remember that because I remember it was huge. And I'm thinking, it was like 7:30 at night, and I'm thinking, you're going to be up all night, which most times we find out later she was. Writing stories, trying to meet deadlines, trying to get stuff done. She couldn't say no. That was a hard thing for her to do. So if you asked her to do anything, she would most times find a way to do it. Volunteering for worthy organizations, she couldn't say no. And to the arts community in that region, she definitely couldn't say no. She was a part of the Mulgrave Road Co-op Theatre. She did independent productions. She was involved in Under the Map. She had friends who had friends who had friends who she'd call on when she needed help, whether it was trying to get something for an organization she was with or when she was trying to get to the bottom of a story. She could sometimes be very dogged as far as getting the questions out, but nobody ever questioned her methods or questioned her journalism because she was good at what she did. She spoke the truth. She tried to get down to the very bottom of a story and give it a human perspective and give you exactly what should have been given to you as a reader or as a listener, because she also worked for a couple of radio stations. She worked everywhere. I think she did stuff for the Cape Breton Post. I know she did stuff for the Orange. She did stuff for CIGO, now the Hawk. She did stuff for CJFX. She worked for the Sun, the Reporter, and the Herald. Always counted on her. People in the community counted on her for getting the straight goods. And sometimes we'd be out and she'd be stopped, and the conversations would go on, and then she'd be writing things down and sticking pieces of paper in her pockets in her car. We shared a car ride on a regular basis to Guysborough County Council sometimes when I was running that, Mulgrave, Inverness, and for about 2 years on and off we did the double up. One time she'd go with her car and I'd catch a ride, and the other time, we were making very little wages back then and first jobs and all in journalism, and needed the boost that way to be able to save on gas. But it was invaluable. The things I learned from her on those car rides, the stories she had, and funny stories and stuff that would happen to her. The joke I always had with her was the fact that I figured that when the time comes, she's dying in this major car accident, death ball of fire thing where it involves some granny on a horse and an 18-wheeler carrying circus animals or something. Like, it would be that amazing a story, so that she could be flustered when she goes up to the gates of St. Peter's and basically talk to him about this great story that she had in getting here, because that's what it was always about. You'd be at a council session and she'd always be late, but there was always a story or things that had happened that week. And council wasn't about for me sometimes, council was not about going to get the story. Council was about going to be able to talk to Allena. 44 is too young, man. One of the funniest stories that I have is her and I on the Causeway one night trying to go to Guysborough School Board, I believe it was. And it's a really stormy night, and the waves are coming up on the causeway, and we're in her car. Now, first, get this. She picks me up at the house, and she has to do this big, here, you gotta move this, gotta move this. It took her a good 3 minutes to clear off her seat, the passenger seat, so I could get in. That was her car. Her car was, constantly full of stuff. And it wasn't just garbage stuff, like the throwaway cups and lunch that she had last night driving home or whatever. It was council papers, old papers, clippings she had to save. It was like this big disheveled file cabinet. And so I'm getting in the car and we're driving along, and it's really stormy, and she thinks that possibly the causeway might be closed down that night. And what do we come upon is this big honking seal. Now I'm talking, this thing was big. It was on the causeway, kind of looked like it was getting ready to kind of kitty corner across the center line. And we're like stopped. There's nobody behind us, so she puts the flashers on. She says, oh my God, this poor seal's going to be killed. Now, we at that point, either of us had never had an encounter with a seal. So we get out of the car and we're actually trying to shoo the seal off of the thing. Now, this thing's big and they can move fast, we discovered. So we're shooing this off and come on, and trying to kind of run up to it to make him move. Well, he lunges at Allena, bares his teeth, tries to grab a hold of her boot. So at this point, she's like turns from the lovely environmentalist, want to help the little thing to seal, because I can't say the words she said on camera. I hope something runs you over, is what she said, or an 18-wheeler or something like that. And she stops back to her car and we drive around and shout out the window at it. It was by far one of my favorite memories from working at CIGO. Allena, it is no doubt why Allena was part of that memory, because she always had the best stories. I feel really bad at her passing. I think that the Strait area has lost somebody so amazing. And I don't think, like with everything, we never realize how much we have until that thing or person or something is gone. And I really believe that's the way it is with Allena. And I'm sure she's disappointed that she doesn't have a really cool story to tell to St. Peter's about her St. Peter about her passing. When she meets him at the gate, I'm sure she'll have lots of stories to tell, but I think she would have liked to have gone out in some, fantastical, amazing event. Just a quick note that after watching everything that happened in Bathurst this weekend, we lost a friend of ours from Labrador as well, and then Allena passing. It's been a really crazy week for me. And on top of all of that, I just sat back tonight or last night and thought about all of the events. And I think that what we mourn the most when people go, and I think the mourning is harder, is when it deals with people who have given so much or have not had the chance to give. And when I look at the boys in Bathurst, it actually made the passing of Allena a little better. She was amazing. She touched a lot of lives. She did some things that she was really proud of. I had heard from a friend of hers, Allena MacDonald, that she was really hoping to write a book. And I'm sad that she didn't, because I'm sure it would have been amazing. But we had her for 44 years. So I guess we should count our blessings in that. And if you were touched by her in any way, you were blessed.